G'day, welcome to Endurance Room. Hope you're all doing well. So today I thought we could take a look at setting up the Jerven Fjelduken as a shelter. Run through a couple different options. It is a piece of Norwegian military gear that was actually designed for the civilian market for hunters and fishermen, anybody that was going to be out in cold, wet, inclement weather. And when the Norwegian military came across it, they quickly adopted it, brought it into service. But I've had one now for a few years, totally love it. It's kind of like a Ranger roll on steroids. You've got a waterproof shell, an insulation layer, and then like a mylar heat reflecting layer. And you're able to do a ton of stuff with it. You know, me personally, I largely use it as part of my sleep system, but you can use it as a poncho, as rainwear, as camouflage if you're hunting with it. Really, really cool. And then a bunch of different shelter options, which we're going to take a look at right now. Welcome to Endurance Room. First off, let's take a look at the Jerven. So this is the Jerven Fjelduken Hunter. It comes in its own little stuff sack. This kind of makes a grab handle. You got cinch straps on the side, and it compresses down to a pretty trim little package. Weighs about, maybe 2.5, 3 pounds. They make this in several different color options. You've got this really nice woodland camo. I really dig the greens on it. There's also a mountain rock moss type camo that would blend in with this stuff and, granite boulders. So if you're up in the mountains above the tree line, that would be perfect. They also have a white and a high vis orange, but I love the woodland. On the inside of here, we've got the Jerven as well as armings, which fit over your sleeve with the mylar lining and the camo for water protection and camouflage. And then there's also a signal panel and a belt that you can use when you're using it as a poncho or as an outer layer. It's about 7 foot by 7 foot. Let's run through some shelter configurations, and we'll go through hot to cold. So for warm weather, when you're just relaxing, you want to get out of the sun, to when it's really cold and you're trying to stay warm. I've got a German elephant skin ground sheet underneath me here, just to kind of give you an idea of the real estate. So I've room for one and plenty of room for your gear. So there's our basic lean-to, and for fair weather, that's probably going to be your go-to option. Quick and easy, just to give you some shade from the sun. But as things start to cool down, or you just want a little bit more cover, a little more protection, what can you do? I'm going to start by lowering my ridge line from about chest height for the lean-to down to about waist height. Pretty nice. For one person and their gear, it's plenty of room. And with the shelter this close to your body, you're going to get some thermal reflection, which is really good. But we've got 2 open ends, so what could you do from here if you want to get a little bit warmer? From our A-frame, we're going to make a forester's tent, and to do that we need a pine cone. This is going to let us have an anchor point for a guy line. I'm going to stake down one corner pulling it reasonably tight from the side and the peak. We'll stake out the other corner, pulling it tight from the side here, but then we're going to leave some slack in the back end. This might look familiar to you. This is very similar to the plush palaka shelter that we looked at a few weeks ago. But we're going to get some height on the inside with our pine cone and using it as an anchor point to run a guy line. So I'm just reaching up, placing the pine cone at the center seam. And then we're taking our paracord. We've got a bowline in the end of it. Got a running bowline in the end of it. We're going to anchor off to our pine cone and then just do a quick release around our prusik loop. Mini forester's tent. You lose a little bit of room in the back end compared to the A-frame, but you gain quite a bit of warmth by having 3 sides of cover. So with just this opening here, you can put your backpack in front of it, or drape a poncho over it. You close it up pretty quick, pretty easy. But yeah, mini forester tent, big win. Let's check out the camo from a short distance. This is about 25 feet away. Here we are again at a different angle, about 25 feet away. Here we are from about 50 feet away. Can't even see it. Zoom in a bit. Pretty nice. So there were 2 standard configurations, the lean-to and the A-frame, as well as the forester's tent, which is great for when the weather starts cooling off. Let's take a look at one more. We'll set up a plow point so we can see what that looks like, and then we'll look at one of the bivvy enclosures. Now, the opening of our shelter is going to be facing that tree, so I'm going to go to the diagonal corner, coming out, and I'm going to give it a little bit of slack, not pulling it completely taut, because we're going to use our guy line again. Running taut. And before we stake the last corner out, we'll go back to our pine cone. Pull that tight. And go to our last corner. This is a nice little plow point. I wish my plush palakas were this size. It'd be absolutely perfect. But I've got cover all the way out to the end here, past my arm, and I'm totally stretched out. I've got room on either side of me, and I can actually go back further into this. So really, really nice. In terms of warmth, this is not as warm as the forester's tent because the forester's got more of an enclosed space and a smaller opening. But this gives you a wider field of view, better airflow. So, plow point. Once again, let's check out the camo real quick. Let's see what it looks like from a distance. This is about 30 feet away with just a little bit of cover in front of it. Very nice. Zoom in. There's the opening. About 25 feet, more in the open. About 30 feet once again. Zoom in. Nice camo. All right, last but not least, let's take a look at using it as a bivvy style tent. This is going to be the warmest option by far. So I've gone ahead and I've zipped the Jerven up on all 4 sides. Just gonna drop in my prusik loops. And that's about all there is to it. Pretty slick, right? It takes no time at all to set up, and it's warm. I demoed this shelter setup in an earlier video called 30-second shelter with the Jerven Fjelduken, because that's about how long it takes to set up. You just anchor it off on 2 points with paracord, a bungee cord, whatever you got, and it's done. If I was going to use this out in the snow, I would run a ground pad on the bottom of it and then another one on the inside of my sleeping bag. And that'll give you the most amount of insulation, the most amount of warmth. If you're worried about moisture buildup, condensation, you just simply vent it by cracking the zippers open, the armholes, the zipper at the top, and that's going to release any moisture from building up. But great piece of gear, ton of stuff you can do with it. If you got any questions for me about it, just let me know down below. If you're looking for one, I got this from veruste.net. It's a Finnish company. Verustelka used to carry them, and then they got their own brand, the Sarma thermal cloak, which I featured on this, which is also really, really nice. So hope you guys are having a great day. Catch you in the next one. Cheers, everybody.